From the state capitol, the Capitol Report with Senator Dave Cox. And now, the Capitol Report.
Hello, I'm Dave Cox, and I represent the 1st Senate District, which includes the top northeastern part of the state of California. As many of you know, there are lots of construction projects going on our freeways and highways, and today we are joined by Jody Jones, who's the CalTrans Director for District 3, to talk about some of those construction projects. Ms. Jones is in charge of the freeways and highways in El Dorado, Placer, Sierra, Sacramento, and Nevada counties, and certainly this is an extraordinary responsibility. Jody, thank you for being here today. It's good to see. You know, we have worked going back to my days as supervisor when we were both on the SACOG board, but it's nice to have you here.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
You bet. Jody, let me just begin, if I may, by talking about the department, and let's begin by talking about you. I do, in fact, know that you are a UC Davis graduate, and that's where you got your interest in transportation, and let's talk about your career from that point on.
You're right. It did start when I was in college. I did go to Davis, and they have a student-run and operated bus system called Unitrans. They run red double-decker buses around the city of Davis, and I started working for them as a conductor.
Oh, my goodness.
The buses come from England, so the openings for the passengers are on the wrong side of the bus or on the left. So we would take money and hang out little red flags so the passengers could get out of the bus. And my senior year, I was the planning and marketing director for Unitrans, and I wrote a grant application for them to get some money from the state, and that grant application went through CalTrans. I met some folks at CalTrans, and that's how I ended up going to work for them.
Well, let's talk about CalTrans for just a second, because certainly the work that you do and your department does, and the work of your staff, I know about a goodly number of the projects, and I'm not sure everyone who's watching knows about it. So let's talk about the transportation projects that are going on in your district and the first Senate District. Certainly the CalTrans does a lot of work each day to keep our highways seismically fit. And I think as we go back and we begin to think about the maze, so if we can, let's jump back to the maze and talk about the maze down in Oakland for just a moment, and the fact that had an accident there, and when the truck caught on fire, it then created some real problems with respect to the interchange there. So let's talk about that from that standpoint.
That was a shining moment for CalTrans, I think. As was the accident we had just a few days ago in Southern California with that tunnel fire as well. It's really what CalTrans is good at. We have superb maintenance forces that are trained to respond to emergencies. That's what they live for, and they're excellent at it. We have the best engineering minds in the world, and we have really good partnerships with our local agencies that enable us to respond when things like the maze happen.
In general terms, what's the budget of CalTrans on an annual basis?
I don't know that off the top of my head. That is not in your script.
Well, how about the budget, the District 3 then?
Well, if you're just talking capital construction projects, statewide we have over $1 billion worth of contracts in construction right now. And for District 3, it's right around $500 million.
$500 million. And so let's talk about some of those projects, because in order for CalTrans to function, it's not just about state highways, it's not about federal highways, it's not about cities and county roads, but it really is a partnership. So let's talk about that for just a moment. Let's begin, by the way, up in Placerville, Highway 50. It seems to me that Placerville interchange has been in project mode, if you will, for the last 30 years, and now you've got it underway, Tell us about that project.
It has been a long time. I was actually the first project manager for the feasibility study in 1986.
1986.
So it's wonderful for me to see a project under construction. It's a very difficult location. It's a canyon with very little room between the mountain and the downtown. Lots of people think we should be able to eliminate the stoplights through Placerville. There are 3 of them. And to do that, you either have to cut off access to downtown or you have to build interchanges, which demolish all the buildings downtown. So it took a long time to get to consensus as to what the improvement should be. What we're building now is it'll add a 3rd lane in the eastbound direction. It'll improve the right turn and left turn channelization. It'll put a new pedestrian overcrossing in, take the sewer out of the creek, synchronize the signals, and probably the most important improvement is it will provide a direct connection from Placerville Drive to Main Street so that local traffic does not have to get on Highway 50.
So that's going to help the commute from that standpoint.
It should smooth traffic going through Placerville. The peak in Placerville is different than what you would think in terms of a commute. The highest peaks are on Friday afternoons and Sunday afternoons. It's really...
So when people are going to Tahoe and coming back from Tahoe, that's when you have the greatest...
Exactly. And that's when you have those big backups and the locals who live there can't get around. So the connection from Placerville Drive to Main Street, they will still be able to move around their town without getting on Highway 50.
Let's talk about who's going to pay for, who's paying for that project. Is it all CalTrans dollars? Is there some cooperation with the county of the El Dorado County? Is there some cooperation with the city of Placerville?
It really is a partnership project. There's state and federal and city funds in there. There's RTIP funds that are controlled by El Dorado County Transportation.
And RTIP means?
Regional transportation funds controlled by El Dorado County Transportation Planning Agency. There are city funds that are paying for the removal of the sewer from the creek.
And this construction is going on now. When do you anticipate that the project is going to be finished?
Well, the official date is June 2009, but we really think we're going to be done at the end of 2008. The contractor's ahead of schedule.
Oh, that's good news, huh?
Yeah.
Under budget.
Well, he's not over budget.
All right. When we talk about the Placerville project, it also brings to mind the fact that you've done a substantial amount of work in the Roseville area and the interchange there of 80 and what is that other highway?
65.
65. But you're also adding some HOV lanes. Let's talk about HOV lanes for just a moment.
We do have a series of projects in Roseville through what is known, I think, on the radio stations as the bottleneck.
The bottleneck.
The first phase is actually finished. It's an auxiliary lane, and we're hearing very good things that it is improving the commute. The next 2 phases will add carpool lanes all the way from where they end in Sacramento County up through Eureka Road. And eventually on to Highway 65.